Hi everyone, thanks so much for being here. My name is Kat and I make houseplant videos here on Good and Planty. If you just happen to absolutely love this video, please consider liking it, commenting, subscribing, or following me on Instagram. All of these things help me grow my channel like a plant. According to my analytics from last year, you all really loved when I talked about the ins and outs of 2022. With the new year coming upon us, I figured why not rehash it and do the same thing for 2023. Huge disclaimer, these are my opinions. Some light research was involved, but these are strictly my opinions. So don't yell at me. Jumping right into it, I'm gonna start with a repeat and I'm sorry, but I really stand by it and it was true for 2022, but I see it only becoming more popular in the upcoming year. And that is large plants, but not your typical fiddly fig or birds of paradise. I am seeing a lot of windy and creatively grown DRACAENA and burgundy plants, believe it or not. I definitely think that investing in one of those is going to put you ahead of the curve. I totally see why people go for the big statement pieces, fiddly figs and birds of paradise being the most popular in my opinion. We all know how I feel about fiddly figs. But I really see more tree-like plants rising in popularity. I see that across celebrity homes, houseplant collectors, and even some light and non-creepy window peeping in cities. The next in I see for 2023 is definitely low maintenance plants. I have so much passion behind this one. I think we as a collective are extremely burnt out by our houseplants. There has been such a swarm of new houseplant lovers, which I love, and houseplant content and new varieties and cultivars. I truly think that there is a big shift amongst us to slowly navigate to more low maintenance, feel-good plants that work in our homes. By low maintenance, I don't necessarily mean that we stick to the classic snake plant, ZZ pothos trio. I just mean I think that as so many of us got into houseplants, we can slowly start weeding out which genus and varieties don't really suit our lifestyles or our environments, and we can slowly narrow down to the plants that really do work for us and don't cause a lot of stress. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely have houseplants in my collection that are a little bit more challenging, but are not out of my wheelhouse. And on top of that, I have enough low maintenance, easy care plants to balance out the hard work involved in some of my more needy ones. So I think houseplants making a return as an enjoyable hobby, one that feels mutually beneficial, is totally in for 2023. I really encourage you all to look at your collections and see what's feeling good for you. I think that that always makes for a more long-lasting relationship with any hobby, but in particular houseplants. Next, for all of my aesthetic lovers, what looks are in for 2023? What's going on? What are we seeing more of? This is a little bit of Pinterest research. Again, celebrity homes I think are a really great way to peek into what staging people are looking at, what designers are looking at. So kind of looking at a menagerie of sources. I think that the very woodsy and natural look is going to be in for styling your houseplants. Oh my god, my grow light. Check out Soul Tech in my description box, but it just turned on, so I have to turn it off. Anyway, so woodsy can mean a lot of different things. What am I specifically seeing? It really comes down to materials. So I see a lot of wood instead of using a moss pole, using some kind of bark. I'm seeing a lot of that. Also using a lot of water in terms of displaying plants, mini like in-home ponds, letting your propagations grow out in water. That has totally been on the rise, and again incorporates some more of those natural elements. Cocodema is, I think, a big part of this look. Also mounting your plants on wooden planks. This is definitely an in that I'm not going to say you have to sit down and rearrange your entire houseplant collection to look a certain way. That is not what I mean at all. I think that this sort of trend lends itself to a lot of creative and new ways to incorporate plants into your home, to display them, to have fun with them. And I really enjoyed looking at these inspirations online. It brought a lot of new ways to grow houseplants to mind. I really did like the idea of using, what are they called? What are they called? Driftwood. Thank you. Oh my God. I was like waterwood, sandalwood. Driftwood is a huge part of this look. I really enjoyed seeing the ways people have incorporated driftwood into their houseplant collections, and I want to do the same. In the same vein, this is something that I believe is always in, but it has to be said time and time again. And for 2023, I definitely think sustainability is in. It's always in, but I just want to drill it home. There are so many easy changes you can make in your houseplant collection and how you take care of your plants that are more sustainable. Just being conscious of those changes, I think, is really important. If you really like houseplants, you have an appreciation for nature and the natural world, you should also be mindful of how your collection, your impact on the natural world and your houseplant collection. So some easy, very simple changes that you can do is look for cocoa peat bases in your soil mixtures. That is so much more sustainable and environmentally friendly than the popular and cheaper sphagnum peat moss. There is so much to talk about in that topic, and of course cocoa peat is not perfect, but it is better. And there's a lot of research behind it, and I really recommend making that shift if you haven't already. I also recommend thinking about ways that you can incorporate some of your garbage into houseplant care. Very popular ways to do that are, again, using jars for propagation vessels, to use gallon jugs or big plastic jugs from water to have your fertilizer mixture in, or to use as a watering can. There are so many ways. Spoons, you can use spoons, plastic spoons in your collection. There's just so many ways. I would be happy to make a video about it if that is of interest. I know a lot of creators have done that. I just recommend looking at things that you have in your home that you might not be in love with or have a use for, and thinking, hey, how can I use this in my houseplant collection? Because you may be surprised at what you come up with. The last in is long-term plant planning. What could I possibly mean by that? Plants are like our children for many of us, and what happens to little baby children? They grow big and strong, and suddenly you don't know what to do with them. I'm not speaking from experience, but I can only imagine. I want to bring attention to the fact that as you buy houseplants, even really tiny houseplants like this, they will grow into big, beautiful beings. And you need to be mindful of that when you bring so many plants into your collection. And that is a lesson that I have learned over the many years that I've collected houseplants. They will grow. If you are taking good care of them, they will grow big. And you need to consider that the pot sizes are going to become more expensive as they get bigger. It's going to be harder to find placement for them. There is a lot to think about when it comes to the growth of houseplants, and I don't think that enough of us talk about the long-term impact of having so many houseplants in your home. It becomes really hard to house them, it becomes harder to repot them. It's just something to think about, and I think that thoughtfulness is in for 2023. Now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's talk about what's out. Okay, I hate to be negative, but we're gonna do it. One out, and I don't mean to rain on anyone's parade. If you enjoy this plant, please feel free to continue enjoying it. I think it's a very gorgeous plant, but one plant I have noticed, one genus I should say, I've noticed kind of just disappear from a lot of collections, the spotlight, is TRADESCANTIA, and I am a bit surprised, but not entirely, to see this pivot. TRADESCANTIA are extremely rapid growers, and their foliage is some of the most beautiful, I think. There is a lot to be said about the beauty and enjoyment about having TRADESCANTIA in your home. However, I do think that people have shied away from this genus, A, because it does grow so fast. like so fast. And again, an in is long-term plant planning. So that is something to keep in mind if you have a thing for Tradescantia or Tradescantia. Another thing is that they are not like the easiest to grow. They decline kind of easily. Their vines grow and they get so heavy that they tend to snap around the rim of the pot. They get really leggy. A lot of their leaves kind of dry up, die off. As gorgeous as their foliage is, as intriguing as they are, a lot of people just get tired of the amount of Tradescantia they are suddenly immersed in. I think it makes a lot of sense that I've seen a lot less of them kind of pop around social media and in people's collections. I don't have any Tradescantia anymore, so I am totally hopping in on this out for 2023. Next out might surprise you. I'm a little scared to say it, but I think regular terracotta has definitely kind of inched towards an out of 2023. A lot of us have settled into our houseplant collections, are a lot more content with the plants that we do have, and now we are shifting to more creative and deeper ways to display our houseplants. One of the first things that come to mind in how we can kind of elevate our houseplant collection is pottery. Terracotta is such a staple in houseplant collecting. It will never truly be out. I have so much terracotta. It is cheap, it is usually accessible, it is great for so many different genus of houseplants. I am in no way saying terracotta is bad. It is great and I love it. I truly think that a lot more people are going to more exploratory textures like cement, ceramic, cash pose with nursery pots inside, things like that. I think it's really fun. So I just wanted to highlight that, talk to you about it, but in no way am I trashing terracotta. I love terracotta. Next out is the idea of wanting to reach that 100 mark of having 100 houseplants or more in your collection just because. I think that sort of consumerism has really died down and I love it. I think it's amazing for the houseplant community. It allows for so much more accessibility for exploration and trying out new plants. It hopefully helps plant prices and again, just kind of repairs our relationship to plants without consumerism kind of clouding it up. I've definitely been in that boat of wanting all the different houseplants just to explore it, just to get to know it, just to have it. Having that part of houseplant collecting kind of die out within me has allowed me to like really enjoy houseplants and be able to let them be a little bit more independent, which works really well for me. Having 100 houseplants is amazing and great if that's what works for you and what is natural for your life, but I think just for the sake of having that 100 houseplants and sounding like such a big collector is kind of dying out, and I'm really, really happy about that. Next out, I feel like alongside just having a lot of houseplants just to have them, I think that the aggression towards having variegated versions of houseplants has also died out a little bit, especially in more mainstream houseplant culture. There is definitely a special place in all of our hearts for variegated versions of plants, and there is still sort of like this fantasy around them and wanting to have them. But I've seen a lot less obsession around it, and again, I really love that. I think we're staying true to what houseplants are kind of calling to us. Probably a lot of us can't afford the variegated versions of certain plants. We have no choice. But B, it just, again, sort of makes me appreciate the plants that I do have. Some rare, some not, some variegated, some not. And that's okay. That acceptance, I think, is sort of starting to encompass us all. And I love it because there have been a lot of variegated versions of houseplants that we know and love to come out, and there is definitely still the demographic that is obsessed with it, that wants it, that is trading for it. But in terms of mainstream houseplant culture, I've definitely seen a lot less of a spotlight on those plants and sort of announcements. I think that's cool. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that, because I'm curious. That's sort of my interpretation of what's going on, but I would love for people maybe on the other side that are more focused on variegated houseplants to let me know what they think, because I don't know. I think it would be a fun conversation. And the last out for 2023 is going to be grow tents. I think that with the exception of very tastefully made IKEA greenhouses and display cases and stuff like that, I am talking about the black boxes with the zipper, the whole 9 yards, the very expensive setups that I have absolutely had in my own home. We are slowly shifting away from that and again are moving to this very aesthetic, displaying, showcasing sort of feel in our houseplant collections. Again, I'm also going to discount people who grow plants to sell them. Grow tents are great and amazing for that, and they will always live on in that way. But I don't know, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with keeping your houseplants in grow tents. It's a great environment for houseplants to really have them rehab, bounce back, thrive. But I have seen a lot less houseplant creators, for example, focus so much on grow tents and more so on just having them around to enjoy. Those are all of my ins and outs for 2023. They are totally and completely biased. So you can't, if you feel like it's biased, it's because it is. And those are my opinions, again, backed by a little bit of observation and research, but please let me know what you think down below in the comment section. Well, please let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I would really love to hear it. I think this is a very interesting topic. Last year's was really fun to dive into, and I would love to hear what you think about this year. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Oh, also, Happy New Year. It is my favorite holiday. I just really want to wish you all a very happy, healthy, safe New Year and forever. Thank you all so much for the support this year. It has meant so much to me. It has changed my life in so many positive ways. I am incredibly thankful for you all this year. And yeah, I just really want to, from my heart to your heart, say thank you. And I hope that 2023 is a good one. Fingers crossed. I love you all and goodbye. Bye.